A tired man stands in front of a microphone. The room is small. The questions are loud. Outside, Japan is losing a war. Cities are burned. Food is short. Ships are sinking. And across the ocean, another government is waiting. The man is Prime Minister Kantarō Suzuki. The year is 1945. A reporter asks him about a surrender demand. Suzuki gives one word. Mokusatsu. A small word. 4 syllables. Easy to print in a newspaper. Harder to understand in a war. To some ears, it could mean silence. No comment. We are withholding judgment. We have not decided yet. But to other ears, it could mean something colder. Ignore it. Treat it with silent contempt. Reject it. This sounds small. It was not. Because within days, the first atomic bomb used in war would fall on Hiroshima. Then another would fall on Nagasaki. And ever since, people have asked one haunting question. Can a word become dangerous? Today, if you misunderstand a message, you can send another one. You can call. You can edit. You can clarify. You can write, "Sorry, that came out wrong." Modern life gives you second chances. In 1945, second chances moved slowly. A sentence crossed borders through reporters, translators, radio broadcasts, military offices, and newspapers. Each step could change its meaning. Each delay could harden it. And behind the words, there was already a machine, a war machine, a bombing plan, a surrender crisis, a weapon the world had never seen before. That is the real story. Not that one word magically dropped the bomb. The truth is more frightening. The word entered a system where almost everything was already dangerous. On July 26, 1945, the United States, Britain, and China issued the Potsdam Declaration. It demanded Japan's unconditional surrender. It also carried a warning. If Japan refused, the alternative was prompt and utter destruction. Those words were not casual. They were a final public threat, but they did not clearly say, "We have an atomic bomb." They did not describe what was coming. So Japan's leaders were forced to respond to a warning whose full meaning was hidden. Inside Japan, the situation was not simple. There was no single mind called Japan. There were leaders who wanted a way out. There were military hardliners who wanted to continue. There were fears about invasion. There were fears about occupation. And there was one enormous question. What would happen to Emperor Hirohito? For many Japanese officials, unconditional surrender sounded like the possible end of the imperial system. Some feared the emperor could be removed. Some feared he could be punished. So even when defeat seemed near, surrender was not just a military decision. It was political. It was cultural. It was personal. And it was trapped inside fear. Then came Suzuki's public response. Reporters wanted an answer. The world wanted a signal. But the Japanese government had not yet presented one clear final decision. Suzuki used the word mokusatsu. In Japanese, the word is built around silence. But silence can mean many things. Imagine a teacher asks you a question. You stay quiet because you are thinking. Now, imagine a judge asks you a question. You stay quiet because you refuse to answer. The silence is the same. The meaning is not. That was the danger. Some dictionaries connected mokusatsu with taking no notice. Some gave meanings close to ignoring. Some gave meanings closer to silent contempt. Other interpretations suggested waiting, withholding comment, or remaining silent until a decision was made. A translator had to choose. And in wartime, choices are rarely neutral. Soon, international reports carried the harsher meaning. Japan was said to be ignoring the declaration, or rejecting it, or treating it as unworthy of serious attention. To Allied readers, this did not sound like hesitation. It sounded like defiance. But here is the reversal. The bomb was not simply waiting for that one word. The order authorizing atomic bomb use had already been issued on July 25th. That was one day before the Potsdam Declaration. So the simple version is misleading. It is too clean. It says one mistranslation caused Hiroshima. History does not work that neatly. The bombing decision was tied to many forces. Military planning, the cost of invasion, the desire to end the war quickly, the shock value of the new weapon, the Soviet Union's role, Japan's divided leadership, the demand for unconditional surrender, and the terrible momentum of total war. Mokusatsu did not create all of that, but it became part of it. That is what makes the story useful. A small thing does not need to be the only cause to matter. Sometimes it is one more push, one more unclear signal, one more door that fails to open. Picture a line of dominoes. The first one is not the bomb. It is a government under pressure. Then comes a demand. Then a vague public answer. Then a translation. Then a headline. Then a war room. Then a military order already moving forward. By the time someone asks, "Did we understand correctly?" the dominoes may already be falling. This is the danger modern life hides from you. You live surrounded by clarification systems. A text can be corrected. A mistranslation can be checked. A press office can release a transcript. A diplomat can call another diplomat. A crisis hotline can connect enemies directly. None of this makes the modern world perfectly safe, but it creates barriers. It slows misunderstanding. It gives language a place to land before it becomes action. In 1945, those barriers were weaker. Messages moved through wires, radios, newspapers, military intelligence, and public statements. Each system had its own pressure. Reporters wanted clarity. Governments wanted strength. Translators wanted speed. Militaries wanted decisions. And the public wanted to know whether the war would end. In that world, ambiguity was not just confusing. It could become strategic. A leader might speak vaguely to avoid angering one side. A government might delay because it is divided. A newspaper might choose the strongest wording. An enemy might hear only refusal, and that changed everything. On August 6th, 1945, Hiroshima was bombed. On August 9th, Nagasaki was bombed. The human cost was almost impossible to count exactly. Records were destroyed. Families disappeared. Some people present in the cities were never fully documented. Estimates of deaths in the first months run into the tens of thousands in each city. Behind every number was a person. Someone walking to work. Someone carrying water. Someone looking for family. Someone who never knew the word Mokusatsu existed. That is why this story must be told carefully. If we say one word caused everything, we make history too small. We turn human decisions into a trick of language. But if we ignore the word completely, we miss another truth. Words are part of safety. Translation is part of safety. Clear communication is part of safety. A sentence can become a bridge, or it can become a wall. The past was dangerous not only because medicine was weaker, not only because water was dirtier, not only because travel was slower. It was dangerous because systems were thinner. There were fewer backups, fewer alarms, fewer ways to check, fewer ways to stop a mistake before it became permanent. Today, you press a button and light appears. You turn a tap and clean water comes out. You call emergency services and help may come. You open a translation app and get a rough meaning in seconds. These comforts feel ordinary, but they are not ordinary in human history. They are layers of protection. And many of them exist because people learned painfully what happens without them. Mokusatsu is not just a word. It is a symbol of a world where silence could be read as contempt. Where delay could look like refusal, where a government could be divided, but a headline could look certain, where one phrase could pass through a war and come out heavier than before. The lesson is not that every disaster has one tiny cause. The lesson is that danger often grows in chains. A vague answer, a rushed translation, a political assumption, a military plan, a deadline, a weapon. Each link may look understandable by itself. Together, they can become history. And maybe that is the most uncomfortable part. Modern life does not save us because humans became perfect. It saves us when it works because we built systems for our imperfections. We built confirmations, warnings, protocols, hotlines, translations, records, second opinions. We built ways to ask one simple question before it is too late. Are we sure we understood?